Hi everyone again, and it's Dave and Dean. It's the Dave and Dean show. We're just continuing having conversations about business in these interesting times and the evolving nature of business and how people need to respond. And so Dean and I have been chatting, and we thought it might be good to put it out there about taking your business from essentially a person-to-person business to an online business, and the pros and cons around that, and some of the do's and don'ts, I guess. And so, Dean, you are actually going through this process right now. Maybe just unpack a little bit about what your business is and how this crisis has affected you, and what you're doing as a result, maybe.
Sure. Thanks, Dave. Yeah. Okay. So in broad terms, our business is marketing, and our company, we do done for you services for marketing, mainly using social media, LinkedIn and stuff. A big part of that business is doing workshops. So I run workshops to train people how to get business. And the difficulty that we currently have with this virus going on is that it's very, very difficult to actually run a personal workshop for people. So, typically the model would be that we'd get people to a venue, we'd have maybe eight people, and we would have a day-long workshop. The difficulty now is obviously that isn't actually feasible. So I'm faced with one of two choices. Do I do what I did before, which is carry on doing the same thing, hope it's going to change, just try and press on through doing something else, hoping that we're going to come out of this very, very soon? Or do I use this opportunity to actually make some changes to the way that the business runs? So what I've opted to do is the latter, having done the former in the previous crisis back in 2008 and found that I'd wasted 18 months or so hoping the market would change. I've actually changed things. So I'm in the process right now of actually changing the workshop from a workshop that people come to face to actually something where they can sign up for it, and we have live calls via Zoom, and then we put it into a site somewhere where people can access videos later on. So that's the essence of it at the moment. Early days with that, Dave. Only been on that for the last maybe 2 weeks or so. So there's lots of time and energy spent building systems, building websites, building, if you like, funnels for that. So that's where we're at the moment.
You mentioned earlier, I think in a previous podcast as well, how the last crisis you kind of waited. You said you actually felt that you waited too long to make changes, and that this time you're making changes quicker. Do you want to just elaborate maybe just a little on that, and then we'll come more into the online stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So I think the thing is, what happens is when you come into a crisis, we all hope that the crisis won't last long at all. We're hoping it will last days, possibly weeks, but normally what tends to happen is it lasts much, much longer than that. So when we had the financial crisis back in 2008, I thought it may be a month, 2 months or so. So you kind of go from month to month hoping this month things will change. And I think it was actually a good 12 months in that I'd realised actually this is not going to change anytime soon. So actually doing the same old thing, hoping for something different from it, just won't happen. So this time I'm kind of ready for this. I've kind of realised that can happen. Things can take longer. Obviously, we're all hoping this virus clears up soon, but I think that economically we could be looking at a fairly long time period for that. So rather than me waiting for venues to be open again, I'm actually trying to jump on it more and turn this into an online course. And I think what kind of crises like this do, they kind of force you to think about things that you might not normally think about because you're busy doing stuff. Sometimes having this time out gives you a chance to really look at, is this the best way to do business? And I'm quite thankful for the fact that I am making the changes, because I think even in a buoyant market anyway, what I'm looking to try and do is a better model overall. So so it's positive.
So it's interesting, in a time of crisis, it focuses you on what is the real essence of my business, what can we strip away and what can't we strip away? It's the 80-20 rule, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
At work again. So let's think about this. You usually have these meetings where people come and you spend, I think, a whole day, if I remember rightly now, with them. You're getting to know them. There's a lot of interaction. There's a lot of time. So you build up a lot of rapport with your potential clients. And of course, trust is transferred, and that usually translates into a sale or into a client. Let's talk about how do we transfer some of those skills then into an online environment? How do we transfer a level of trust, a level of rapport? How is there a way of getting a similar kind of feeling or response or outcome as there is with a real, a meeting with we're all in the same room?
Sure. Yeah. I think ultimately there's no real way that you could ever beat being with somebody physically face to face. And I think certainly the overriding benefit of having a face-to-face workshop is that you build that kind of rapport and that trust, and there's the body language and there's the personal aspects you can actually build, such as things, if you're having lunch, you could be talking and then actually building up some kind of trust with people. You can't do that as much if you're doing that kind of course on on a Zoom call. You just cannot build the same rapport. The only substitute, and obviously what we don't know, is whether this is better than doing face to face. The only substitute is that you could run the same workshop for a much bigger number of people, so you don't have the same level of trust with those people, as in building the trust and the personal relationships. But as you've got the volume of people, you just got to kind of hope that there will still be people coming through from that who are interested in talking to you further.
So there is a trade-off then between a few people that we're going to be intense with, and then more of a generalized market out there. I guess in this time, everybody is thinking, let's put everything online, and so the noise out there is just incredibly large. There's more things coming on my inbox every day. How then are you going to differentiate yourself from the noise that's out there? How are you going to catch the imagination of these people and get them or drive them to your workshop?
I think it's all to do with value, isn't it? I think if you look at the numbers of people out there trying to put their businesses forward, it ultimately comes down to if you're offering people value. I love the quote by Frank Kern where he talks about demonstrate that you can help people by actually helping people. And it's all about the fact that if you show some value to people and you're actually giving them something useful and you're helping them for free and you're giving them something really useful, people will gravitate towards you, because not everybody does that. Lots of people are kind of wanting to make the sale straight away. They're not in it for the kind of longer term, really. So it's all about value. It's all about trying to add value to those people.
I love that. Saying. So demonstrate adding value by actually adding value.
Yeah, exactly.
So in that strategy, then you'd be prepared to give some stuff away for free, I'm assuming.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always done it where I offer free calls anyway. So as in if anybody can book a call, I can just sit down on Zoom and go through some ideas for people's business, definitely. And that's done genuinely with no kind of plan to actually sell them anything. I don't even mention our services usually, but what does tend to happen, 1 in 2, 1 in 3 people ask the question, such as, if you were to do this for me, what would be the cost for it? Mm-hmm. So actually, you often don't need to go in there with any kind of heavy sell. You just got to add some value. And if you add some value, people feel that they like you and they will trust you and they want you to help them.
That's interesting. Years ago, when I was selling on the road, selling a product, I adopted the strategy that I would just visit people and have a cup of coffee, get to know who their names were, their families, the dogs' names, etc., and not sell. My intention was not to sell. But throughout the course of the conversation, evidently we would talk a little bit about what my product would do or could do, or what that person's issues were. And sometimes we would be solving issues that were totally unrelated to the thing that I was actually selling. The knock-on effect, though, was it built trust, and they, when they were in times of need, they immediately knew who to call. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know in the old days when I was involved in some churches, we had a saying that we would just wanted to be on the street enough times that if anyone did want to come to a church or was looking for a church, they would remember this name, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
And I really love that. I think that's a thought that we could certainly draw a line under and leave our listeners with is, you know, if you want to demonstrate value, then actually demonstrate some value. You know.
That's right.
A couple of things from today, which I think maybe we can elaborate on our next podcast. It's firstly, you're saying you've responded quickly or quicker this time.
Yeah.
You're not waiting for change. You've just got on and done it. You've looked at your business and said, what is the core issues, principles of my business? What can I tear apart? And what can I reimagine, as in moving a meeting from a physical meeting to an online meeting with all of it. And maybe when we interview in the next, well, you could take us on this journey as you change your business from one state to another. That would be really helpful.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. That'd be good.
Dean, thanks for your time again today, and we're enjoying being on this journey with you, and how this crisis is evolving your business, and we hope it's been helpful to everyone else. We'll chat soon.
Thanks, Dave.